Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new SPSM Chat, Suicide Prevention Social Media. I'm Rudy Caceres at Rudy Caceres on Twitter. If you're watching this live, please let us know that you're here. Let us know that you care. We're going to be talking about relationships, love. Who here out there, whether on the Twitter chat or co-host, whatever, who here had a good and or bad Valentine's Day? Anyone? Awesome, great. So keeping in the mood, I want to make sure I set the right tone. So we're gonna get a little mood lighting. And we're gonna introduce our co-host. First, and as most, let's go to Marie.
Hello, everyone. My lights aren't on, so you can't really see me well. There we are. Hi, everyone. It's Anxiety. I'm a mental health advocate and live streamer with a mental health focused talk show where I interview professionals and those living with mental illnesses. Back to you, Rudy.
Not back to me. Let's go to JOELLE.
There you go.
Are we doing Hi. Now? I thought we weren't allowed to get the F-bomb.
Just
Hi. Hi, I'm JOELLE Murray. I am a peer support specialist, and I am actually really excited about this because it, talks about a lot about online relationships too, and really everything that I've done with my mental health, like my personal recovery and finding other people to support me and to support started with online. So,
did you have a good Valentine's Day?
Yeah, it was all right. Some guy took me out.
Good. Hudson, how was your Valentine's Day? Did you hate it? I want someone to talk about hating Valentine's Day, so hopefully it's you, Hudson.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, if I'm following fucking JOELLE Marie, why not? My Valentine's Day was filled with all the traditional things: vomit, fevers, children throwing up on me. Like it was lovely-ish. So I'm here to talk about Valentine's Day, and I'm a big fan of the origin of Valentine's Day, pagan holidays. Yeah.
What do you hate more, Valentine's Day or essential oils?
Oh,
it's a toss-up.
That's a tough. I would like to put that one out to the Twitterverse. Essential oils or Valentine's Day?
Yes, tweet at Mental Strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last co-host, and I'm so glad that I get to have you all on the same day, like twice in 1 year. Oh my God, what did we do to deserve this? Introduce yourself, Danielle.
I'm Danielle, and I do hate Valentine's Day.
Yes, you are actually the only co-host who does not have a significant other right now.
We don't actually know.
We don't. That's presumptuous, Rudy.
How dare you?
Oh, okay. Well, maybe okay. Do you have breaking news? Do I need to write something on a ticker right now, Danielle?
No, I'm not dating Aaron Carter. I am not dating Post Malone. I am not dating anyone.
Well, that's just disappointing on so many levels.
So what's her name?
What's whose name?
So our topic today is relationships, love, whether you hate it or not hate it. Regardless of Valentine's Day, we want to talk about all kinds of different communications, whether it be platonic, whether it be just online. Nothing wrong with that. We'll certainly get into that. We want to hear from all of you out there in the Twitter sphere, out there in the Facebook sphere. I don't know. The Mixerverse, the YouTube system. Do we got anyone on Mixer right now, Marie?
We do. Welcome, Empress Titan, and welcome as a new follower as well. Awesome.
Good. So, if you're watching this, especially on Facebook, because I can see all your comments on my end, so leave us a comment if you're on the SPSM Facebook page. We'd love to have you be a part of this conversation. Don't feel left out. If you're on Twitter, make sure to use hashtag SPSM, hashtag SPSM.
I want to know more about ass tags. Is that a Valentine's thing?
That's That's for After Dark.
I just tweeted out what's worse on as a poll on Twitter: Valentine's Day or essential oils.
Yeah.
Hashtag SPSM.
Vote.
Hashtag SPSM. There we go. Actually, let's see if anyone is joining us on Twitter, because that's always a treat when people participate. So, hey, Desiree says, "Hey, BBs, I love you, but I can't play tonight. Working on a deadline." That's totally fine. I appreciate you posting a GIF. If you're not able to participate shut up. If you're able to participate in the whole chat, at least post a GIF. Okay? Are you happy, Marie?
I'm so happy.
Rudy, just a quick election night update. So far, essential oils are the #1 hated thing over Valentine's Day. I just want to update everybody.
Hey, I ain't mad at that.
No,
okay,
so the same app that the Democrats use in Iowa.
Well, there we go. Shout out to Krista for being our producer. Anyone else you out there on Twitter, introduce yourselves. Make sure to use hashtag SPSM, all the things. Hey, Rachel, how are you? Let's get started. We're a couple minutes early, but damn it, I know we're going to have a lot to say, especially Hudson. Let's be honest. So question number 1, what can we do as a society to make Valentine's Day less emotionally distressing for people who feel lonely? Is anyone digging this red light? It's not giving me the effect that I thought it would. So
it's not very menacing. And
I don't know why this camera's on me right now. I don't.
Once
He's like, "Do you want to see this red light?" And then me, and I'm like, "Is it about my red skin? Because it's a little red today. I'm sorry."
We're good, anxiety. Don't worry about it. Rudy could be such a dick.
Rudy's fine. Rudy's on a good list. Rudy's on a good list for me today because he said GIF. I feel proud of myself. I feel proud of him for this accomplishment.
He's changed.
Yeah. He's a better man. Why are you red? Are you going for like a Kylo Ren feel? What's happening?
This is a Valentine's Day episode, you know.
Right.
How do I do this? Where do I go?
So don't mind me.
We will.
Get it. Let's get into it, Marie. Sorry for the interruption.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right. So what can we make Valentine's Day less sucky? I think I honestly don't think there's much we could do. I feel like every year I hear the same amount of complaints, which is, it's a corporate holiday, and it is, and like kind of that's what Christmas has become too, and I don't know. Like, I don't see that changing anytime soon. What I do see is like we have Galentine's Day now and Singles Awareness Day. Like we have all these little things that we mini celebrate online as much as we celebrate Valentine's Day. And also, I guess if we want a solution, which we should, we are solution oriented here at SPSM Chat. I guess I would go, let's move people towards loving themselves on this day, since maybe just because you don't have somebody else to love you doesn't mean you can't be loved, right? So
I agree. What say you, Joelle?
I think just in general, like not necessarily commercially, but like online and in a broader sense of communication, I've seen people talking about just being kind for Valentine's Day, or making connection, or being supportive in kind of a generic way. And I kind of like that. I kind of like going that way, and also not making it this perfect ideal thing where it has to fit this certain mold and be like a perfect day. And I don't know. I think we set ourselves up to fail when we think about like how things need to be a perfect certain way and like have to fit a formula. So I think really just not focusing on how things need to be a specific way or look a certain way, and like focus more on connection and just like general love of each other in a broader sense.
Yeah, I want to say something, and that is, I've spent many Valentine's Day alone and depressed and just feeling at my lowest. That why can't I be loved? Why am I so lonely? Why do I deserve this pain? And I get that. I like how To Write Love on Her Arms, they'll do a Twitter chat every Valentine's Day for all the lonely hearts out there across the globe who just need someone to reach out to. And I think we need to be mindful of that. Just similar to Christmas, where not everyone can exchange gifts, not everyone can have a family dinner. So as long as we're mindful of that, doesn't mean we can't celebrate, doesn't mean we can't celebrate love and all that stuff. That's all great stuff. It should happen all the time, but like, I get it. It's nice to have special days and dress up and everything, go out to dinner. I do it too. But as long as we're mindful of that there's a lot of people suffering specifically because of this holiday. What say you, Hudson?
I say, so first off, I'll just, before I give the answer I had planned, I want to echo what Joelle said, which is that I would love for Valentine's to be more about that connection piece. Those of you who know me, my favorite thing in the world are people and connecting with people and making people happy. And I think that that's what Valentine's Day should be about, those relationship connections, whether it's friendship or love or anything. It's just that connection piece. It's what is so good. Otherwise, I think, the thing that so the origin of Valentine's Day is Lupercalia, allegedly, that's what I like to believe, where they would go into a cave with a lot of women, and then they would gently slap them with goat strips as to improve their fertility, and then go out to the fields and slap the fields with goat strips. And I think that would really bring people back together and improve the crop yield.
I love you, Hudson, with all the research. You bring
I have to agree.
you bring the facts and figures, and so for that, you have a special place in my heart.
Thank you. You do too.
Did you have something to say, Joelle?
Oh, no, I think that's a great idea. I think we should start planning now.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Danielle?
I agree with everything everyone else has already said about connection, communication, but I am also, I guess, like the bitter anti-Valentine's Day person here. I have a lot of bad memories associated with Valentine's Day that have nothing to do with romance whatsoever. And I think that Valentine's Day is stupid. You should be appreciating your partner every single day. There shouldn't be like a Hallmark holiday for it. I felt this way my entire life. I just think it's a really stupid day. But connection, I was with one of my best friends on Valentine's Day this year. It's been a tradition for the past 3 years. And I think that, holidays mean different things for different people. So it's just be mindful of what people may or may not have experienced on those days.
Can I say something really fast? Because, Rudy, I'm going to do this.
Of course, Hudson.
Danielle, your Valentine's Day expression with your friend was absolutely lovely. And those pictures were beautiful. And like that to me is what Valentine's Day should be. Getting together with friends and people and having fun, getting dolled up. I personally feel like I would look wonderful in the makeup that you guys put on. And my hair would be lovely. I think that's what it should be. That type of fun and like silly. Like, let's be silly with it. Let's have fun. Let's be with our friends. Like, let's do that shit. That's the best part. Like, all the super heavy weighty shit is stupid.
I agree. And shout out to Danielle for, I think this is the first week that she didn't have her mic muted. So I love you for that. So I'm back with my regular light. I can't do that red bullshit. This is not a TLC music video. So shout out to Rachel, who says, I think Valentine's Day is definitely worse than essential oils. We got hot takes out there, okay? Shout out to Diane Jess, who's lurking on Periscope. That's totally fine. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Hopefully you're sticking with us. Rachel also goes on to say, I think moving a focus towards loving and appreciating others and ourselves would be helpful, not necessarily romantically focused. So, and thank you to Michelle, MFK Therapy, for being our chat moderator this week. Glad to have her back. You're a cool person. So anything else to add before we get into question 2? Anyone?
Go with Marie first, I guess.
Marie?
I am gonna go full cheese ball, and it was kind of mentioned by the other peeps. But seriously, like if we were not so shitty to each other on a day-to-day basis, maybe we wouldn't need to dedicate a day where we're nice to each other. And I get that, like in a good relationship, people should spend 365 days loving each other, and not and not 364 unless Valentine's Day is important to them. So I get that. I understand that it's nice to have a day to appreciate each other, but I also think that that should not be a needed thing. Like I'm putting my foot down. That should not be needed. Okay, that's it.
Do you have any anyone have any horror stories? Let's get into the juiciness.
Oh my gosh.
Let's hear it. Who's got the worst horror story?
It got really quiet. It got real quiet.
Valentine's Day, I got nothing. I don't do it. Even when I'm in a relationship, I don't do Valentine's Day. So no horror stories.
Yeah. Any memories of Valentine's Day when you were a child? Did you pass out the cards? Did you the chocolate? Were people going, ooh, he likes so and so?
Yeah. I have a story. It's okay, so I can be judged on it, and that's totally okay. I have not had there's a funny Valentine's Day story because now we've been together for 11 years, but our first Valentine's Day, my now husband gave me chocolates and then ate all of them. That's like a classic. But there was a Valentine's Day in high school where I had a male friend I had a male friend, and we were always talking about how we were friends, and we'd talk about other people we liked and all that stuff. And so we were like, neither of us have dates. We should go hang out on Valentine's Day and make fun of people who have dates. And we went, and he was like, so I want to know if you would want to go out with me. And we weren't sitting in Panera Bread, and it was very, very awkward. And he was like, but I thought this was like a thing. And I was like, we talked about it. I really did mean it the other way. I didn't send you a false signal, but it was pretty bad. And I every Valentine's Day, I think about that guy, and I'm like, I hope he has a good Valentine now. Cause that was, that's the story. I don't think it's very eventful.
He peaked. He peaked way too early.
What?
He peaked way too early. That was the best he ever did.
Oh my God. Okay.
He could have been with a feature award-winning book author.
He's not.
You guys are embarrassing. Dad, and other dads. Stop.
Okay, all right.
Dad on the Valentine's Day episode? That's a little weird.
That's weird. That's what's weird here.
Yeah, we get weird on SPSM Chat.
Yeah, come on.
So I posted on social media on Facebook, kind of trying to process what some of their worst Valentine's Day stories and experiences were. The top 3 worst gifts, not GIFs, Rudy, but gifts, a keychain, underwear that said Shark Week across the butt.
Okay, I want that underwear though.
And napkin rings.
Napkin rings?
Everybody knows it's the classic romantic gift.
Oh.
It's like paper for the first anniversary. Napkin rings to show her you care. Never mind. I'm not going to make that inappropriate joke. They were just napkin rings.
Right. We have a story on Mixer of somebody's horror story.
Yes.
You guys want to hear it? Okay.
Danielle's very specific about napkin rings, and now she's left.
Then she's left. She's like, I will have none of this making fun of napkin rings tonight. None of this. So Emperor's Titan says, Valentine's Day 2004, drove to see my girlfriend who was living 180 miles away, drove all the way up there to spend the weekend with her, got there, within the hour, she dumped me. Long drive home.
Oh,
that is a night. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. That is like top awfulness. Why would you? I don't get it. Why would you break up with somebody? I don't know. That's awful. I'm sorry you went through that, Emperor's Titan. That sucks. I hope you're with somebody who loves you now on Valentine's Day and every day. All right, I'm done.
Okay, let's get into question 2. I think we have our fill of Valentine's Day related content. Okay, we can circle back because we have to talk about all kinds of different relationships. Shout out to first before we move on. Shout out to Jeanette Tolson, who says nurture important relationships every day and decrease the focus on one special day. I agree. Hashtag SPSM. Thank you, Jeanette, for joining us. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you, my co-hosts, my family, all of you. You all are amazing. I know Danielle is coming back, but let's get into it. Let's get into question number 2, and that is, can virtual peer-to-peer support be effective for suicide prevention and intervention, and why or why not? And feel free to riff on that, okay? Interpret that how you will. Let's go with Marie.
So I've had experience with people coming to me and having suicidal ideation online, and it's been in weird forms. So it's happened where somebody messaged me and they were telling me that somebody they know is having suicidal ideation, and to help them walk through what to do. And that's also happened with people who used to be in my community as part of a part of the Twitch community and on Discord. And in both those cases, it was super important to make that person know that they are loved and they do matter, and continue maintaining a boundary, and also make sure that they get the help they need without making them feel dismissed, right? Because if you're just like, I can't help you, here's a number, bye, who knows if we'll ever talk again. But I will say, like, I've also had people come in, have suicidal ideation, and then yell at me for not helping them enough, and being like, you're not helping me, when you try to like talk to them. So all of the above has happened. And I think the key to not be suicide prevention and not being there is the other person being open. I think establishing that piece that I am not there next to you, that does not mean that you don't matter to me, but I will only be able to do so much, and kind of starting with that and setting up a little bit of an expectation and then doing what you can. That being said, if I don't know you and you come to me asking for help with your asking for help and you are suicidal, all I can do is send you a number. If I don't know you, there's very, very little that I could do to help other than offer a number, offer reassurance, and kind of just be there to listen as you vent. And that feels like kind of tying your hands behind your back, but that is the reality. That's the worst part. I've been with people in person when they're having suicidal thoughts and talking about the fact that they want to die, and still felt like there's nothing I could do. So having that guard of the internet definitely increases that feeling of like helplessness to help the other person. And especially if there's no rapport set up, because it's very unlikely. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it hasn't happened to me that somebody in the middle of the street would come up to me and be like, I'm having suicidal thoughts, help me now. Versus online, if people have access to you, that is something that will happen. And I think I went all over the place. So if we can bring me back to a central point, I'd really appreciate it. Back to you, Rudy.
Well, that's not my job. I don't do that. What I do is
What I
do is I throw it to JOELLE.
You do.
You do that.
Can virtual peer-to-peer support be effective for suicide prevention and intervention? Why and why not? I absolutely think support given in any mode can be effective. I think it has a lot to do with boundaries, how they're established and how they're understood. So that's a two-way street, like how I establish my boundaries and how another person understands them, and vice versa. As I mentioned in our intros, everything for me about recovery and about giving support and getting support really did start online. I was part of a mental health community, basically online. That's where I first felt like empowered and like I was finding other people who were going through things that I was going through. Eventually I was an admin, and we had a live chat, and we had bulletin board sections, and people could private message each other. And so and there was a lot, and it was for people with lived experience by people with lived experience. So, and we gave people a lot of freedom to be really expressive of what they were going through. We didn't want people to be censored. And in doing that, we had to have, our moderators and our members be very clear about their boundaries. And that's how I kind of learned, like, that's incredibly important. And I think, if you're a public person in any way, especially in terms of mental health, any kind of distressful situations, things that need support, suicide prevention, you have to be pretty public about your boundaries and stick to them, especially publicly. So if you say, like, look, I'm a peer support specialist, but I can't have people privately messaging me and then expecting me to just peer support them all over the place. And I don't know how else to describe that, but I can't do what I do for my job personally 24/7. So I need to establish for myself, like, what am I going to do if somebody does message me in distress? And, usually I say, what do you need right now? Well, I think you can go here and go here and go here and make people feel important, but also make people realize, like, I'm not the best thing for you right now, rather than make it about myself. But everything that originally empowered me to be able to find my goals and to be able to get out from under a desk and be able to not feel like I need to die came from online. So absolutely, virtual support is valuable. And for some people, it's the thing that works better than anything else.
Hudson, loving these tweets on Twitter. A lot of good feedback. We'll give some highlights to you because I appreciate Jeanette, Rachel, and Intergalactic Cat bringing the heat today on Twitter. We got someone watching from Pakistan on Facebook as well, so that's awesome. Hudson, it's your turn at bat.
Yes, I do believe that it can work. And in fact, when I was doing some of the work with suicide prevention or suicide hotlines, I was a party to some of the research that went down that talked about how the ability for a hotline to reach out to people after an event or after a call, even automated follow-ups, text messages from a machine, etc., could reduce the risk of repeat attempts or repeat suicidal ideation. And, like, to me, that really speaks to the fact that it doesn't take a lot to have a big impact. And so virtual discussions, I think I've talked on here before on some of the video game episodes about the impact that video game and virtual communities have had on me. And they're tremendous. I mean, there are people that I have known now for 23 years that I've never met in real life, but I would trust with my life. So absolutely, I think virtual is a way that, even though we have become increasingly superficially connected while becoming less substantially connected, virtual gives us the opportunity that even for those of us who are introverts or don't like people or don't like other things that are outside of our house, to still have those connections. And so both from a literal standpoint of post-suicide prevention calls impacting the suicidal ideation and likelihood to repeat with automated text messages all the way through to online communities, it's tremendous. And I encourage everyone, be safe, be smart, don't go to weird places on the internet, but find your community. Like, there's a subreddit for everybody, literally. Find it, go out there, find your people. People will be there for you, I promise.
Hudson, what would you say is the weirdest thing on the internet?
Nope.
Okay, let's go to Danielle then.
That to me is the weirdest thing on the internet. Don't say anything, nobody explain it. If you know what rule number 7 is, tweet about it, but appropriately.
Make sure you use the hashtag.
Have you ever wondered why the Esurance Girl, the cartoon, has disappeared? Have you ever wondered why Flo, the insurance girl, has also disappeared? Rule number 7.
Are you sure that's not rule 53?
Oh my God.
I think you're naming the wrong rule. It's either 43, no, 32, rule 32.
Don't make
34.
Marie bring out her rule book.
No,
Oh
okay, Husbando is really good at this, and he says it's 34, and I'm pretty sure, I feel like he would know.
Dad.
It's
Dad.
rule 34. Rule 34 states that if it exists, there is porn of it.
Yeah, okay. Whew. All right, where's my card? I'll give it back.
All right, nerd, come on, hand it over.
Danielle?
Did that thing just flash, or am I like hallucinating?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Question. I think that there are downsides and upsides to using the internet. Like in my personal experience, I know that I've briefly mentioned it a couple of times, but I lost a boyfriend to suicide a couple of years ago. And for me, when I reached out to people in person, no one was there to support me or help guide me or just anything. So I found a whole bunch of online support groups catered to people who just lost someone to suicide, and I connected with people who got me from one day to the next. I made friends with this girl whose boyfriend had died by suicide the same way that mine did, and I felt really close with her, and like we kind of made a pact to keep going together. And it killed me when I found out about a year later that she died by suicide too, because we were going through that together. As a therapist, I feel like I'm always on call, not just literally tonight, my cool flip phone. But the downside, I feel like for me personally, I need the personal connection of being able to talk to someone face to face when I'm feeling these kind of things, when I'm in a place where I can actually be around people, because I isolate a lot. So I feel like while there are, a lot of benefits to having this connection online, you're also losing human interaction, which I think is really important here in those dark places. That's all I got.
Okay, so let's take it to Twitter now. And again, if you are on Facebook, if you're on Mixer, if you're on YouTube, let us know what you think as well. So really quickly, Krista Marie says, "I love the lived experience community so fucking much. That is the truth." Intergalactic Cat says, "But let me get to her first comment first. I think it depends on the situation. I have had some friends who has stopped me from killing myself before, and I only know them from online. Wouldn't be there without them." And then Intergalactic Cat goes on to say, "But issue is, hasn't happened to me, but have seen it happen. People might say things I personally wouldn't find helpful, like think of your family, etc. But maybe others find that helpful." Danielle says Karen is currently speaking to the manager about her computer shutting off for no reason. I think that is an inside joke. Katie Gorton says it seems much better than no connection, but I think there's something even more powerful about in-person interactions when possible. And by the way, speaking of in-person, I get to see Katie Gordon for the first time at the AES conference in April, so I'm really excited about that. She's a past guest. So okay, let's get on to question number 3. Jeanette Tolson is ahead of the curve. Question number 3.
Hi. I had one more thing to say. I had one more thing to say and was waving my hand frantically, so I'm going to butt in here.
Okay.
Go, Joelle.
There are a lot of people making the point that when possible, in-person support is better, is more preferable, is more valuable, and I absolutely disagree because it has to be what is beneficial for the individual. And I went through many, many years of people saying that my online relationships, my online connections, my online support community was not as valuable, like very much devaluing it. And it is those online relationships and connections that literally saved my life. And just like anything else, we need to listen to the people who are getting the support and what works for them. And just because it's text communication, that doesn't devalue it. That doesn't make it less valuable. And really, we need to think about when we're saying like that in-person support is better or best or more valuable than virtual support, because as it is now, we can get pretty much any kind of support, professional or otherwise, virtually, that we can get in person. Like there's a couple things that we can't, but like if you're talking about seeing a professional, quote unquote, versus a non-professional, like that's not really a great argument. The only argument left is that it's like ableist and privileged. I'm sorry, but it is. So, and I'm not the only one who has gotten out of a hole and literally had my life saved by connections I've made online. All these people who are in SPSM Chat right now, they are the connections I've made online. I met my husband through online. So I just really want to emphasize that point. When we're talking about the value of support, please don't deride it based on what mode we're getting it. People are getting the support they want, and if they express a certain preference, that's what's going to work for them.
Question number 3.
No, I gotta say something, Rudy.
Question number 3.
No,
Question number 3.
Question number 2B. First off, Joelle, I'm so proud of you, and you're amazing, and I love how you said that, and that was absolutely incredible. Can you put back on the talking heads? Thank you. Also, that was beautiful. I want everybody here to raise their hand if you like it when you go to the dentist and they drill your teeth. Yeah. Yeah, you would. Right? Yeah. Danielle's over there like, drill it. No baby drill.
I'm waiting for the point. Go on.
Here's the point. This is not based in science. This was based solely anecdotally from a project I worked on that focused on evidence-based interventions in emergency departments for acute psychiatric patients coming in the door. And the idea was, if you could divert psychiatric patients from ever getting into inpatient, how could you improve outcomes? And I don't know. I had the hypothesis, few people had the hypothesis, but nobody really knew what was going to happen. There were some papers on it. What we found is that people coming into the emergency department responded way better to a screen in a quiet, calm room than they ever did with someone pounding their face or yelling or talking to them or asking structured questions in the emergency department. And we were able to take an event that could take somebody 24 hours to get to a disposition with a doctor and do an assessment and an evaluation inside of 2 hours. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I don't pretend to profess to know, but there is something about the screen that can create just enough disassociation that people can be honest, they can engage, and they can feel like they can be safe without risk. So echoing 100% what you said, Joelle, absolutely amazing. And like, I've seen it in the real world as well. Don't judge, go to where people are and get to them how they need it most.
Question number 3. What are some differences in support you experience through online versus real life? Take it away, Marie.
There really aren't, other than you can't exchange oxytocin over an online interaction. So like you can't. Oh, okay. Sorry. I mean, okay. If you figured out how to get a virtual hug and like feel it, that's cool. That's totally cool with me. But that was my only point. And since Rudy disproved it, other than that, honestly, like the people who have saved my life in my suicide attempts twice, I'm trying to think. And one time it definitely was in person. It was my now husband who was there. But other times where I've had suicidal thoughts, I was either calling somebody about it or I was talking to somebody in my community about it. There's not really. I don't think I've ever received emergency support that I was happy with in person. The one time I came to a therapist and told them I was having these thoughts, I was whisked to the hospital way too quickly before I understood what the hell was going on. And then I was treated very, 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 very poorly there. So I would argue that the virtual help that I've received has been better than the help that I've received online. That being said, ultimately, definitely over time, having professional help is what saved me from having suicidal thoughts in the long run. But in that moment, the people that have talked me down have usually been people virtually present somehow.
Do we have any other comments on Mixer?
Do we have any comments on Mixer? Absolutely. We have a bunch of hellos. We have a bunch of, yeah, I guess, I think one of the biggest issues surrounding suicide prevention is that there's a society, that we as a society treat it as a taboo subject, like getting cooties in high school. I think the first step in solving that problem is recognizing that it's a problem. We as a society need to stop treating people who need help with suicide prevention like they don't matter.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did anybody here ever watch Babylon 5?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
So there's this episode where this guy wears a suit that today we would call a haptic suit. and they have these.
Yes. I was at an innovation. It was called the Innovation Summit in 2014 or 2015 when I met Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they were talking about haptic clothing as a way to like teach swimmers, like coach swimmers and stuff. And so it's out there. It's just like not. I guess it's not being used as much as it should be. But that would also solve that oxytocin issue that Rudy and I are so passionate about.
I mean, I would love to see if that works the same. It's also, I'm sure, really expensive, but the suits exist. They're out there.
Well, a cheaper solution is getting a weighted blanket, right? You get a weighted blanket, you put it on top of yourself, then you call your friend, and you just feel like you're being hugged.
Yeah, but there's something about that. I don't know. The weighted blankets never did it for me. A pig flopping on top of me, a dog.
That's true. Something sniffing at you that smells kind of bad. Yeah, it's perfect.
How about you, Joelle?
First off, Hamlet is very clean. He takes showers.
My dog my dog is kind of stinky. He needs a bath. Like, dogs are kind of stinky. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I love how stinky he is. I'm just saying they're all, I don't know why you took offense to that. Animals kind of are stinky, but like in a good way. Like my dog's feet smell like Fritos. We can talk about that for a little while. But it is
puppies' bellies smell like coffee beans.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sorry, but go on.
All
We're
right,
talking
let's
about
go to
suicide
Joelle
prevention.
now. Let's go to Joelle.
I think that okay, so as far as online support versus real life, I have definitely many more fears about getting online real life support, simply because my interactions have been very different. I have a lot less control in real life situations. I'm not presenting any differently. Like online, I'm pretty much me, as in real life. I'm pretty much the same person. That's feedback that I've gotten pretty consistently. But in real life, there's something about people needing more control, and it's exerted more. And it makes me incredibly uncomfortable as somebody who most of my life I've been told how I feel, or told what I mean, or told what my behavior means, and then like punished for that interpretation, and it sucks. But I have to question this knowledge, that this like systemic knowledge that we have, that oxytocin can only be induced in real life interactions, because it can also be induced in self-soothing. And when we're studying things like, can it be induced through social media? Can it be induced through text conversations? Can it be induced through this or that? We're frequently not involving neurodivergent individuals who definitely function differently. And oxytocin tends to have different, stronger, weaker effects depending on the person and how they function. So, and neurodivergent people tend to have better support responses in virtual space. Now, these are like generalizations, but there's a tendency. So I have to question like how long that wisdom's going to stand, that oxytocin can only be induced through face-to-face conversations or conversations. So,
right, Joelle.
Okay.
So,
I'm quirky tonight. I think Joelle is killing it, and your hair looks amazing.
oh, thank you.
You're releasing oxytocin to me right now.
That sounds great.
No, but I think, I think I wish that I could have the same comfort and the same feeling of control over myself, over my life, over what happens to me in real life that I do over online. And unfortunately, my experience has been that I can't get that. I can't get that feeling of safety and support and control over what happens to me in real life.
Let's take it to Hudson.
I'll go fast, Rudy. I'm sorry. I'm taking up a lot of time. I really like all of you, and I love you.
Love you too.
Love you too, Ruth.
Whoever you are.
I like Hudson too. I swear.
I agree. with what Joelle said. And I will say I moved around a lot as a kid. Every year or two, I moved around. So from kindergarten through high school was just constantly moving. And then on top of that, my parents were divorced at a super young age, and I flew every other weekend from wherever my mom was, from like Texas, Maine, Colorado, wherever, back to St. Louis. So I was constantly on the move and constantly having no control over agency or where I was. Video games, virtual stuff was the first time in my entire life that I felt like I had control, could impact the world around me, could build meaningful relationships. And so for me, the online environment was risk-free is wrong, but like I remember, it didn't matter what time zone I was in. I'd get online to play World of Warcraft or Star Wars Galaxies or whatever, and friends were on. They were always on, because we had people from all around the world playing in our guild or whatever. And some of those people I'm still in touch with today, and they were always there. And there was always this, look, I don't want to talk, but I want to be present, and we're going to go kill a dragon. And sometimes that's all you need.
Danielle?
I think that I basically answered this question responding to the last question, but I personally feel the opposite of you guys, and I feel that my real life experiences when I've been having suicidal ideation or whatever it is have been better in person rather than online. But I have had a few in-person experiences, like my friend who is a social worker, who's no longer my friend anymore. When Eric died by suicide, I was feeling suicidal prior to him dying. And I had reached out to her and she told me I was triggering her and stopped talking to me. And so when I was at my most vulnerable and reached out for help, there was nobody there. But at the same time, other experiences, people in person have been very present for me. And I think it's part of the way that I was raised was to talk about my feelings and be vulnerable and okay with it. But I don't know. I like I've said before, I like to isolate a lot and don't talk and kind of just deal with my shit on my own. But also the people that I've connected with online for support have become real life friends. So I don't know what to do with that.
Okay, let's get into question number 4. I believe we have 1 minute to get through this. So question number 4, how have online relationships made a difference in how you cope with the stress? Let's go to Marie.
Well, so on one hand, I'll try to do this as fast as I can. On one hand, and I've talked about this before, online, and I also feel like Joelle's talked about this, but online it feels like people expect you to act like you don't have a mental illness, even if you openly state you have a mental illness. That happens in the real world too. Online, you can find communities where it is okay, right? And you do talk about that. But I've still found on Twitter as a whole, I have to have what is called the Queen's Depression, where you nod and wave and just go, yes, quite not well today. Not well at all. But so it has to be very measured how you talk about it. Like you don't want to scare anybody away. You don't want to be the angry, depressed person, like all those things. So on one hand, the way I receive support online, I've learned that running to Twitter, although I have wonderful, wonderful people and support there, is not necessarily the best way to go. But going into a curated community, such as the one that I have in my Discord, and people who come and watch my streams and read my stuff, those are people that we've set up a specific space in the Discord where you come to when you're not feeling well. You can mute it if you feel like, hey, I might be triggered. And we have the 60-40 rule, which is when you're not feeling well, come and take what you need. But when you are feeling well, please try to do your best and give back. So it's this idea that relationships are not actually 50-50. They're more 60-40, where somebody's always giving a little bit more and somebody a little bit less, but it evens out in the long run. And I have found that rule works really well for us because there are people, it's beautiful to see people come in distress, get the help they need, and then come back and offer other people help the way that they received it. That's awesome. And so in that sense, knowing that I always have those people to lean on, always have those people to go to if I'm not at my best is it's an honor, and I don't have to censor myself, and I don't have to think about, well, if I say that I'm suicidal today, I might lose 5 Twitter followers, whatever the hell, that doesn't really actually matter. Like, I can just be myself, and that's amazing.
Can I be a member of your Discord, Marie?
It's about gosh darn time. I'll send you a link. Yeah, it's in my Twitter page, by the way. It's on yeah. Hold on, I'll send it all to you right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you. Okay, let's take it to JOELLE in the meantime.
How have online relationships made a difference in how? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they definitely have. And I'm trying to explain this so it makes sense. So when I was first going online and finding people who had a similar experience, and I felt like, oh wow, I can actually talk about what's going on in my head. I started to finally feel like I can be more open about it. I don't have to pretend like I'm not going through these things. And I found more and more that people would treat me differently if I had my face versus a random icon or whatever. And so at some point I decided pretty much as a personal rule, I always want to have my face next to what I'm saying online. And I used that way of dealing with distress, just being honest about this shit's happening and this shit's happening to me. And I'm going to tell you, I don't want to pretend I'm fine, because that eventually really screwed me up. So I started just using that idea in life about things that are distressing me, even smaller things. And it's hard, it's work, it's always going to be a work in progress, but having people really listen to me initially online when I could be as anonymous as I wanted to be, and giving me the support and comfort to no longer be completely anonymous, to not be this one-dimensional person, actually definitely leaked out into real life, where I would feel comfortable saying I have this distress, and even in my personal relationships saying this is distressing me, I need to talk about this, I'm uncomfortable about this. And when I really need help, saying I'm not well, I'm really sick right now. So that's made a huge difference.
Hudson?
It's the reason I'm here today. I'll be honest. I got my first online community in 1996 with my Gateway 2000 computer. I logged on to America Online and had my AIM name, and it only grew from there. I still remember some of the seminal moments of video games. I remember where I was going through Wrath of the Lich King, and how it helped give me stability and focus at a time where everything was breaking. Star Wars Galaxies, so many different games, and for me, my best was games, but also talking online and being able to have those things to play. Mobile, console, computer, I'm agnostic. I don't care. If I can go have fun there and meet fun people and do those things, that's where I want to go. Like I said, to me, the benefit of the online community was I always had people there. The games gave me a focus and a sense of accomplishment when everything else was falling apart. And I didn't always have to talk about stuff. I could just be present and listen and be a part of it. And I don't know if anybody played Vanilla WoW, but Naxxramas doing 64-person raids and the level of cat herding, you can't really think about anything else. Yeah, I wouldn't be here today without those communities.
Hudson, Mixer wants to know if you play Star Wars Old Republic.
I did, yes, for a very long time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to Danielle. How many times do you play Star Wars Old Republic, Danielle, in a day, in a given day?
0 times. 0 times a day.
What about Vanilla WoW?
Are you being rude, Rudy?
What?
What? Rudy never.
Okay, so no time like the present, Danielle.
I just asked what the question was because I don't remember. Yeah. Well, I see we're running out of time, so why don't we just skip my response and go to your final thoughts?
Okay.
He just
So
said he doesn't want dessert. We can just get the check. We don't have to finish this date. He's like, this is terrible, Valentine's. I hate the underwear. The keychain is terrible, and the napkin is take home. Let's go.
Okay. So before we get into final thoughts, let's just go back to the Twitter chat just one last time and see what we got here. Krista says, I've had times where I needed both. Sometimes the distance felt safer. It meant people could know me without knowing my abusive family, which allowed me to express myself more freely. I was able to find more people with similar lived experience online. Grace says, there are only so many times 5,449 strangers can say you aren't alone as you sit literally alone in an empty room, and that inspire you enough to pull through the low moments. Real life contact matters. Anne Marie, in response to question number 3, says it depends on the platform. Online support is sort of like random acts of kindness. It can be like shouting into a cave and hearing a response reverberate back. And Rachel, in response to question number 3, says, honestly, I feel like so many of us who engage in online services may be more likely to engage openly because of the comfort of being in your own space on your own time and not being face to face with a stranger. Grace goes on to say, even my quote unquote real life supports turn into online support because I can't reach the world like everyone else. So for some of us, there's not much difference, except online support can disappear easier, but also be more accessible. Let's get into final thoughts. Final thoughts, Marie.
No, I'm good. I have no final thoughts. I've said everything. I said what I've said, and I've said what I meant, and we're good.
So when did those hardcovers of the book come out?
Okay. So officially, I made a boo-boo, and I'm admitting it first on SPSM Chat. So I meant for the hardcover and the Kindle, of course, to come out at the same time. For those of you guys who are wondering, I'm talking about my blog book compilation. And so what happened was, I didn't put in the correct date, and you cannot retroactively say that your hardcover book will be published later. So now you can order the hardcover book right now, and it'll be on your doorstep, depending if you have Prime, within days. So knock yourself out, and you can go to anxiety.com/book, and you can order a signed copy or go to all the Amazon links from there. It's all there in one place. But yeah, so I will be launching, as a result, I will be launching the ebook sooner than March 17th. I'm trying to figure out what date works the most because there are some pre-orders and I feel like I'm gypping those people if I tell them they're not actually pre-orders. So it's very confusing in my head right now. But point is, I made a boo-boo. You can order the hard copy ASAP. If you want it signed, you can also order ASAP, but you have to wait a little bit longer to get it. And it is more money because I have to ship it to you and everything. And otherwise, I love you. And it's completely surreal that I'm sitting where I am right now and talking about publishing a book. If y'all only knew where it all came from, is really cool. It's mind blowing. It's blowing my brains. Thank you for all your support, guys.
Yeah, and thank you for boosting us on Mixer. Go check out mixer.com/mziety. You interview awesome people. I checked you out a couple of times this week, and I really appreciate the people that you're giving a platform to, Marie.
Awesome. We have a really cool therapist talking about childhood trauma on Tuesday, so don't miss that. If you're interested in learning how to get past childhood trauma, she's going to be talking about that.
Yes, and just so you all know, if you are an SPSM Chat co-host or producer, you are going to get a signed copy of Marie's book.
I mean, you're not getting a sign. Yes, yeah. No, I was going to do that, but that's cool.
Final thoughts, JOELLE.
Yeah. I just want to make it clear that, so when I have very strong opinions about things like accessibility, things like, value individual experience, it's not that I am saying also do not value the traditional things that we think of when we think of what is better. When I say things very strongly, I mean value every individual's experience. So don't only I'm not saying, because there are a lot of individuals who have had great experiences with virtual support, like that in-person support is not valuable. I'm saying we also need to value the other forms of support that we tend to think of as not as valuable or not as legitimate or not as valid, because all forms of communication are valid, and like so many things are communication that are commonly disregarded. So I just wanted to be clear about that. I also wanted to say, you know, when we're comparing different modes of communication and different modes of support, we have to kind of also be fair about like what we're comparing. So if I'm comparing talking to my mother about seeing a psychiatrist, that's not really an even comparison. So we need to make sure, like, if we're talking about, like, it's not the same. So I would say for me, sometimes talking to my mother is better. Sometimes seeing a psychiatrist is better, but it depends on the situation. But they're not at all the same thing, and they don't usually address the same issues. So we just need to be sure, like, we're comparing similar things for similar issues.
Hudson, do we have a piggy update?
First, we have final thoughts. I actually spent a lot of time thinking about this final thought this week. And I wish I could give credit where credit's due. I had someone post this on my social media stream. My final thoughts are this. Stop referring to your husband, girlfriend, significant other, husband, wife, boyfriend, whatever, by those terms. Call them your partner. It normalizes the term. It makes things a whole lot better. I wish I had the words. I wrote it down, but then Hamlet's poking me with one of his feet. But using the term partner normalizes it for everyone and reduces stigma around that. So if you're with somebody, that would be my final thoughts. Call them your partner and don't gender identify by what you say. And then this is Hamlet, and he's been super cute and loving. Oh my God. Amazing.
Jiggly piggy.
Thank you very much, Rudy. I appreciate you.
I got a black piggy.
You did. Good job.
I will say this today about Hamlet. My youngest was puke apocalypse sick this week, and Hamlet was glued to his side. It was one of the cutest things I've ever seen. My little one has some different challenges in this world, and the most genuine, beautiful smile I've ever seen was not 15 minutes after he puked and was falling asleep, and Hamlet jumped up on the bed, came over to him, and he does this like aggressive honk in your ear when he wants to snuggle, and then just plopped on top of him. And Andrews woke up with just this beaming smile, and Hamlet didn't leave for the rest of the night. So Hamlet, the mental health wonder pig.
Aww.
Good night, everybody.
In all seriousness, I really love you, Hudson. I'm so glad you get to be a part of our show. And I haven't met Hamlet yet, but I can't wait to meet him and love him just as hard.
You will love him very much, I promise.
Cool. Can we put the piggy on there? That is awesome.
The CGI, it's incredible. It's like
I spent like a good hour making that, by the way.
You did a good job. You did a great job.
Okay, so that's going to do it for this week. Tell us who our guest is next week, Marie.
Next week, your guest is my incredible friend, wonderful mentor, and all-around good guy, Dr. B of who's the clinical director for TakeThis.org, which is a nonprofit for raising awareness of mental health in video games. He will be talking about his lived experience and as a clinical professional about autism. So I'm excited to have this topic covered.
Awesome. I know Joelle's excited for that as well. So we're going to have a great show. Go make sure to follow Dr. B as well on Twitter, and go make sure to support all of these lovely people except for Danielle. Do not haunt Danielle, okay? Did we even get to your final thoughts, Danielle? I apologize.
It's okay. I have none. I'm in a bad mood today.
Oh,
okay.
baby.
But I mean, but serious, Danielle. Like, I'm really glad. Like, I know you've got a lot going on right now, but it would not be the same without you tonight. We got the whole gang together, so thank you so much, Danielle. I really, really appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here with us.
Thanks for having me, even though I'm cranky.
No, like that's totally fine. SPSM Chat, we bring the crank. We bring the crank.
Pregnant? Pregnant. What did you say?
Yeah, I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. That's
But she
not.
said
I'm
cranky.
cranky.
She said crank.
I'm cranky like all the time.
Okay, so we'll continue this on SPSM Chat after dark. So I want to make sure that I can thank you all, everyone on Facebook, facebook.com/SPSM Chat, twitter.com/SPSM. Make sure to use SPSM Chat. Make sure to use hashtag SPSM on all your tweets, and we'll make sure to heart it and retweet it and boost it. Make sure to go to youtube.com/SPSM Chat. Shout out to everyone on mixer.com/SPSM Chat, and you can see all the episodes in a nice convenient package archived in blog form on SPSMchat.com. That's going to do it. Thank you so much, Joelle. Thank you so much, Anna Mae. Thank you so much, Hudson. Thank you so much, Sir Hamlet. Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you so much, Krista, for being our producer. Thank you to Michelle for running the Twitter chat. I appreciate that as well. That's huge. Takes a load off me. Until next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
I can count.
Hold your piggies close.